back to the channel. Week 2 did not disappoint. We have a ton to get into, so hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into that video. Let's start off with that Super Bowl rematch out in KC. That game did not disappoint. It was a bit of a defensive slugfest, but yeah, it was fun for the most part, I would say. Now, the outcome of the game is what a lot of people are talking about. The Kansas City Chiefs find themselves starting off the season 0-2. I know some of you guys are saying, is this the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs? Or are they not going to make a postseason run like we're accustomed to seeing? And I'm here to tell you, let's pump the brakes. Let's look at the actual ball game. Obviously, in this game, the notable play that changed the whole trajectory was that back-breaking interception on the goal line. Although that Eagles returner didn't return it for a score, it led to a touchdown drive, and rather than the Chiefs find a way to go up in that game or at least kick a field goal to tie the game, the Eagles went up by 10. And I'm not the type of person to blame the outcome of a game on one singular play. Did it have an impact on the outcome? 100%. But I'm looking at the other problems for KC. They can't run the ball. Isaiah Pacheco had 22 yards on 10 carries. Kareem Hunt, I believe, had 39 or 36. Their leading rusher was Patrick Mahomes. That should never be the case because, for one, they want to protect Mahomes. They don't want him taking unnecessary hits. He's over here lowering the shoulder. He's just dusting off debris. Like, he looks like their running back and quarterback. At some point, when we're wondering why the running game hasn't been sparked, is it because Isaiah Pacheco has lost a step in some ways? Is it the offensive line still learning how to gel together as a unit? Either way, that running game has to be established. Also, on that offense, I'm looking to see which playmaker can step up. And normally, I would say that's Travis Kelce. But with TK, you can tell that he's at that stage in his career where he's not going to be able to be a consistent weapon. And Hollywood Brown, in theory, should be a speed demon, being able to take the top off of a defense. That hasn't really materialized. Juju is a complimentary wide receiver. Thornton, we saw Mahomes was finally able to connect with him on a deep ball. Outside of that, they desperately need Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy back. Moving to that defense, I thought they were much better. The run defense, the first 2 games has been pretty stout. I'm not sure if that's going to be impacted going forward. They've had a lot of injuries in this game to their front 7. And now a little bit in their secondary. But the biggest concern still is who is going to play corner opposite of Trent McDuffie. Someone's going to have to step up for KC. Or they could still go out and sign Stephon Gilmore, who I don't know how he's still a free agent. I'm not sure financially what it could look like in terms of getting a deal done. But I feel like a 1 year, probably minimum or something close to about like 8, maybe 10 million is doable. And let me wrap up this game in a nice little bow before I get into my final thoughts on KC. The Eagles look better in some ways this week compared to last week. Week 3, they got a test against my Rams. That matchup is going to be great because we're going to see where both of those teams are at early on in the season. That being said, I like that they finally targeted Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. If we could get more plays dedicated to them, I feel that can help uplift this offense and not put it all on Saquon's legs. And then that defense finally having Jalen Carter on the field along with adding Zadarius Smith. That pass rush looked like what we're accustomed to seeing out of the Philadelphia Eagles. And getting back to the question I proposed at the top of the video, are the Kansas City Chiefs in trouble? It's not wise to count out Patrick Mahomes. Along with Andy Reid, who's proved to be one of the best coaches all time, I think those two are going to find a way to figure it out. I'm not worried about the Chiefs. If anything, I believe that they're going to be more vulnerable this season. Much like how we've seen with the New England Patriots when they were in between their dynasties. This could be a season where maybe KC doesn't make it to the AFC title game. Maybe they don't win the AFC West Division. That door is wide open in the AFC. And the Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, they have an opportunity to kick that door wide open. Let's keep it in the AFC. Next, let's talk about the Joe Burrow injury. It was confirmed that he will have surgery, meaning at minimum, he's going to be out till December. That's a huge blow for Cincy. This was supposed to be their give back year. And now that their franchise quarterback is going to be out for at least probably 10 games, it's a big rim. I was looking at their schedule. Week 3, they're at the Vikings. Week 4, they're at Denver in primetime Monday Night Football. Week 5, they have a home game against the Lions. Week 6, they're at the Green Bay Packers. Week 7, primetime game, short week, at home against the Steelers, Thursday Night Football. Week 8, you have the home game against the Jets. Week 9, home against the Bears. Then that week 10, you get your bye. Afterwards, you're on the road against the Steelers. Week 12, at home against the Patriots. And then week 13, you have a home game against the Baltimore Ravens Thanksgiving night. I'm not going to lie, even with Joe Burrow, that was a bit of a gauntlet. You have a couple of easy games in between, but a majority of those teams, they were playoff teams from a year ago. The hope is that Jake Browning can at least keep this team afloat. That way, if Joe Shiesty can't come back and the team has a chance to get into the playoffs, is realistic. Looking at the final stat line, Browning finished 21 of 32 for 241 passing yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, but threw for 3 interceptions. We've seen in years past that the offense hasn't really missed a beat with him in the starting lineup. That being said, this is a gauntlet that they have coming up. They have some pretty good defenses that they're going to play against. To answer the question of whether or not I think the Bengals can survive without Joe Burrow, I'm going to say yes. I think they can win some of these games. It will be tough, however, because their defense is going to have to play better. Their defense has been solid, but they played the Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars. If that defense can just be middle of the pack, I think that gives the Cincinnati Bengals a chance in a majority of those games. If Joe Burrow returns for week 14, as I think he could, if this team could be 7-5 or 6-6, I think realistically they have a chance of reaching the playoffs. Next, let's get into Sunday Night Football. This was a bit of a snooze fest, unfortunately. We had 2 former first-round picks from a year ago. Let's give some credit to the Atlanta Falcons. They made life difficult on J.J. McCarthy. That pass rush had 5 sacks, I believe, in the first half alone. The knock on that Atlanta Falcons defense was their inability to get after the quarterback. This past offseason, they used 2 first-round picks on edge rushers. They went out and they signed Leonard Floyd, and it showed in this game it was totally worth it. An injury to note for the Falcons, AJ Terrell left the game after the first half with a hamstring injury. That could be problematic, but hopefully it doesn't sideline him for a significant amount of time. Also, let's give some love to that kicking unit. Without Parker Romo, they don't win this game. Atlanta didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter when the game was already out of reach. And before I move on to the Minnesota Vikings, let me get into that offense for Atlanta. Bijan Robinson doing his thing both on the ground and through the air. Love how effective he was as a runner and as a catcher out of the backfield. The only problem I have with this unit was their inability to score touchdowns. I want to give credit to Minnesota, though. They have a stout defense, but for the amount of times this Falcons offense was able to get into the red zone, they couldn't finish their drives with touchdowns. And when you go up against some of the better teams, if you struggle to do that, you will lose games. However, this one they were able to figure out a way to win. Going forward, I want to see Michael Penix and his offense deliver in the red zone. Switching to the Vikings, it was another stinker for J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy finished 11 for 21 for 158 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble, and sacked 6 times. JJ and this offense don't look in sync. They haven't been able to establish a consistent running game with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. The offensive line had a couple of bodies fall, along with them not being able to hold up and pass protect. After this offseason, I said countless times that I believe that this Vikings O-line on paper looked like it was going to be significantly improved. That so far hasn't been the case. Also, to be fair, Christian Darrisaw, he hasn't come back from his injury yet. We know before his injury, he was a significant piece. Hopefully coming off of a torn ACL, MCL, he still is able to be impactful. But at some point, this offense is going to have to find a running game on top of being able to find a rhythm. That's been the problem both weeks so far, is that they get off to these slow starts. We've seen brief moments of brilliance. That final drive of the first half where McCartney finds Jetta leading to that field goal, that was pretty good. So I wonder if O'Connell is going to increase the pace at which this offense is running at. Maybe that helps relieve this offensive line along with JJ. It's going to be some growing pains with that offense, but I still have high hopes for them. This offense has a ton of playmakers. The offensive line should be better as the year progresses. Let's not lose hope yet in the Minnesota Vikings. And before we get into the final major takeaway, let's quickly recap the other games. New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey. He is the best kicker in the game. 64-yarder is OD, and it goes on to win in overtime. Russ won too many moon balls, ultimately cost his team the game. Did have a great performance, passed for over 450 yards. No need for a quarterback change just yet. Just let Russ cook. The Ben Johnson Bowl didn't go according to plan for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. They got the bricks beaten off of them. They start off their season 0-2. I'm not too sour on them. Yes, the expectations were high. The offense hasn't looked as great as we expected it to, but give it some time. They got to learn the schemes, and they have to execute it. As for that defense, they have a ton of injuries. Jalen Johnson left the game with a growing injury, and it's reported that he's going to be out for a significant amount of time. Hopefully that defense can get healthy. For Detroit, after an abysmal week 1, they look like a top 3 team as we expected them to be. Let's see if that continues when they go up against the Baltimore Ravens in week 3. And speaking of Baltimore, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Rams all dominated in their games. They all looked fantastic, and they look like the Super Bowl contenders we all expected them to be. And how about them Seahawks? Went on the road and took down a Pittsburgh Steelers team who looked pretty impressive week 1. But that defense out in Seattle is for real. They didn't even have Devin Witherspoon. If the Seattle offense can become more consistent, watch out. And the major storyline coming out of week 2 is Indiana Jones legit. Daniel Jones, he has proved me wrong so far to start the season. He finished the game throwing 23 for 34, 316 passing yards, but with a throwing and rushing touchdown. The key part about Jones's performance was the fact that he made the timely throws. And we didn't see that while he was in New York. On top of the fact that he's doing a better job of protecting the football. Daniel Jones is showing that he can be a starting quarterback. I'm not sure yet if he's a quarterback you can make a deep postseason run with, but 2 weeks in, he looks strong. And let's give some love to Jonathan Taylor. He finished the day on 165 yards, and he added 2 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. His performance was instrumental in giving them a chance to win the game. Overall, Indy looks like a pretty good team. I love their defense. They have a couple of injuries in the secondary. Tre'Davious Ward missed this game, but Cam Bynum did Cam Bynum things. He got him an interception and probably had the best selling of the weekend. I'm inclined to say that maybe Houston isn't going to run away with the AFC South. The key element to that is Daniel Jones continuing to play winning football. As for the Denver Broncos, this was a disappointing loss. They played well offensively, barring that interception. Bo cannot have that turnover. That was a drive in which the Broncos defense forced turnovers on downs, and it was good field positioning for that offense. If you can't score a touchdown, you have to allow your team a chance to at least kick the field goal. That interception took that chance away, and ultimately, it allowed the Indianapolis Colts to stay in the game. And the poor execution didn't stop there. Indy got another chance to win the game after the Broncos were called for leveraging, and that led to the game-winning field goal. You can't have that if you're the Denver Broncos. They should be 2-0, but instead, now you're 1-1. In the long run, you can argue that this was a necessary experience. No one wants to lose, but losing like this shows you that there's levels to winning ball games. Moving forward, Denver has to be better, and they have that opportunity when they go up against the LA Chargers on the road. And that's going to wrap up my week 2 reactions and takeaways. If you stayed to the end of the video, I appreciate that love. Go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure you comment your reactions and takeaways. Do you think Kansas City is in trouble? Do you think the Bengals can survive without Joe Burrow? Is Indiana Jones legit? Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.